more freedom. Because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. the Critic's Choice. With me, as always, triumphantly, is the people's champ, Tim Keck.
Hey, buddy.
He's wearing a military green bomber jacket and standing on top of a car with a air horn. We fucking got it. Today we're talking about Independence Day. You can tell it's the title of the episode. Tim, what is your one sentence take on this movie?
Well, happy 4th of July, everybody. The only way to celebrate is watching Independence Day. This movie is so fun and dumb that I enjoy it. Haven't seen it in a long time, but gosh, this movie is so stupid, Kevin. I think it's just so goofy. The president's a fighter pilot. Like, come on. But it's awesome. I just enjoyed the heck out of it. You know, what about you, Kevin? What do you think of this?
Tim, the dialogue in this movie feels like it was lifted from an improv set. Everybody tells you exactly who they are and exactly what they do. The president being a fighter pilot is the line that made me realize that. It's like people are manifesting facts about themselves the entire movie. It's like, Mr. President, what are you doing with this flight helmet? I'm going up there. I'm a fighter pilot. God damn it. I belong in the sky. Like, we never knew that about you. We should hear that once.
No one's going to be able to fly this thing. And then Will Smith's like, actually, I can. And then it's like, okay.
Insane.
All right.
Insane.
This is what we're doing now. It's just
his reasoning is that he saw one of them fly at him. He's familiar with their maneuverability.
They move exactly like regular planes too. There's no like UFO-ness to them. Like one of them flew into a parachute and crashed. Like there's no hovering in these. They're planes. And it's great. I do love one thing that's amazing about this movie is that all of the main characters end up in the air in a space battle at the very end. And I feel like that should be the goal of every movie is to get all the main characters in a space battle with aliens to save the world by the end of your movie. Just all together. They all have fun arcs. It's just, it's real goofy, but it's great. It's so fun and satisfying to watch.
I do think that if you and I sat down and wrote something, that's a good goal to shoot for. If you just hide your hand from the audience just well enough so that they don't see that every single character's arc is ending with them in the sky.
Yeah. If you don't end up in the ground, you're in the sky. My favorite arc though, I think is the Vivica A. Fox as the stripper.
Sure. This was the 90s.
This is which is but she's a stripper. She's not a human being. And then I guess to show, but it's like everyone can have your preferences. If you want to date strippers or not, good for you. But the idea that I don't want to date her because she's a stripper, but an act of heroism is what's gonna overcome her occupation. It's not like I'm not into her because she's not a hero. It's just I don't love her occupation. You know, I would prefer something else. And I get that. There's lots of occupations that none of us want to date. You know, dentist. Really, I need someone on my case about my breath all the time. And they're all like sad and depressed and like moping around all the time. No, thank you. No dentist.
Chartered accountant. Chartered accountant. Hard no for me. You know, that would be if we write this, our version of the Vivica A. Fox character is she's she's talking to the first lady and the first lady's like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm an accountant. And she's like, oh, yeah, chartered accountant. Oh, I'm sorry. The fact that the first lady says, I'm sorry, I think maybe best case scenario read, it's because she suggested ballet. But the fact that she apologizes, I mean, this was the dark ages of like sex positivity.
I agree. Deli guys, I would not want to date a deli person.
No, you can't do that.
And I'm not talking meat. I'm talking like deli meats. Like just to come home and just always have too much deli meat, I think is something that it's like sushi to me. Like you can go over the edge with thinly sliced ham, you know? I'm always the wrong one away from like having too much, you know?
Tim, can I quote you on this? That sushi chefs are the deli meat guys of Japan?
Yes, that is what I said, and I stand by it.
Nice. You go in there, you roll up to a Japanese deli at like 2 a.m, order some rolls.
Rubbing my eyes.
All right, how thick or thin do you want it?
People just run up and scream at him too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need 3 California rolls to go. Stat. How's your mother? I don't care. Bye. See you next Tuesday. It's yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like. That's that's what life's like in Japan. Speaking of, that was one of the better moments in this too, that I feel like, man, these blockbuster movies, these like big crowd pleaser blockbusters have so many moments like this. There's the moment where America finally decides to mount an attack against these guys. And keep in mind, nobody cared when America was launching a nuke. That's not enough of an attack.
Oh, this is great.
It took America coming up with some sort of a plan and reaching out to everyone around the world for the British person to be like, what is this? Oh, it's from America. They're mounting an attack. And it's like, thank God. I was wondering what took them so long. It's like this flashback to the 90s.
Dude,
as far as Americans were concerned, everybody was just waiting on us to say go. That was it. That's all it takes to launch an attack against some aliens. And then they cut to all of the major countries circa the 90s.
God, the idea of that happening in a movie now is so funny. Like, you know how much arguing would happen? Like this, there is no way that the world could pull off a move like this. There's just no way. Someone's going to be hanging back like, listen, if all the Russian army gets destroyed in space, that's good for us. You know, like there's going to be some hoodwinking and some backstabbing. And the idea that they're all just like, thank God America's made a choice. We're all going to rally around them is crazy. Also, the idea that a president's too young. God, I wish we had that problem.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
me?
me?
My number one beef, Tim, was how come the president's not in his 80s? We need a president with some experience.
The whole movie, I was just like, can you imagine Joe Biden or Donald Trump in this scenario? Can you picture like Joe Biden in an airplane at the end, like flying into the
I belong in the air. Gotta get up there.
Boy, my dad could fly.
Gotta fly this plane into you, Jack. That's my best Biden. That's all I got.
I know the president isn't supposed to be like actually physically fighting anyone, but it would be nice to have a president that could like do a push-up and like you're confident they could do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to, limit anyone's physical limitations, do you, whatever, but a push-up. I wish we had a president who could do a push-up. I feel like pretty much everyone in this movie could do a push-up. Judd Hirsch could drop to the ground and bust out 50 like at any moment during this movie.
No problem. And you know why? Yeah. Because he has faith, Tim.
He regains it. He gets his faith back. I did do a double take when he's talking to Jeff Goldblum and he's like, I haven't spoken to God since your mother left. I'm like, what? This is where we're going with this? Spoken to God? That's also such a heavy way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like I haven't prayed. I haven't gone to church. I have not exchanged words with a deity.
It sounds like God owes him money.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to God. He knows what he owes me.
Your aunt knows what she did. I'm not speaking to her anymore.
Dude, it does, to bring this back to like, this movie feels like an improv set. It feels like that short form game where somebody gets pointed at and they have to go off on an Oscar winning monologue, because it's like they told everybody in this movie to have an actor's secret, but at a random point in time, Roland Emmerich is just going to point at them and they have to drop their entire actor's secret. It's nuts. Jeff Goldblum, I mean, like they're very clear that his deal is that he wants to save the earth, which, hilarious irony. It's great.
Right. And
they drop like
conflict between him and his wife is weird.
Yeah.
He wants to save the world, but he has no aspirations. But it sounds like she cheated on him with the president.
But I did want to talk about this.
Didn't.
I think it's weirdly, like, in a way, I think it's stronger if she did, because there's more conflict between he and the president then. But then they so strongly want to sell us on the tragedy of the first lady dying that they can't have there be any cracks in that relationship. So I don't think they actually did.
Why is the affair a part of the movie?
Probably shouldn't have been.
It makes more sense when it's like, well, you moved to Washington to like do this. It was the president or me, and you chose your work and you left me. Like, that's a conflict. That's a very relatable, real conflict. But it's like, oh, I punched the president in the face because I thought you were sleeping with him. But we're all cool now. It's like, I don't know. This is crazy. It's weird.
Fun. It's fun. Like, I think the idea of having a personal relationship with a person that's now in this position of power is really fun. And I mean, we've seen some people ascend to some surprising levels of notoriety. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I think this is just going to continue happening as we get older. We're going to see people filling out these roles that we have baggage with. So like, when you're a kid, the president's the president. It's like, what do you mean you punch the president? And it's like, oh, yeah, you're an adult. You punch the president. Was he being a dick? Yeah. It's just a person with a title.
I love that idea of just like the president's crew. And it's just like people who've known him the whole time. And they're just like over his bullshit. Like just talking to him straight, like not even kissing his ass. It's just, we don't need your money, but we like just know you and we don't feel like putting up with any of your shit. But also, you're the president. So it's pretty fun.
It's got to be like, if you become like an A-list celebrity and you don't have a crew of friends that aren't just going to turn into yes people, that's got to be terrifying. Like you want an entourage of people that are still going to bust your balls and are still going to hold your feet to the fire, because it'd be terrifying if you didn't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely like some athletes and stuff that need some people who are just like, hey, maybe don't demand a trade.
Yeah.
Just like, maybe what if we were just chill about this? Okay, cool. Neat.
Drake, don't push back. Maybe don't push back on this one.
So we get Will Smith ending up with the stripper with a heart of gold and an ability to lead men and women in a heroic and valor way. And then we have Constance, who Jeff Goldblum is into, and I guess they make up at the end because they've always loved each other, but love isn't enough, but until it is. And that's sweet. The only one who doesn't get their love interest is Bill Pullman, whose wife dies because she's bleeding internally and the doctors don't feel like dealing with it. I was just like, I feel like I've never seen that before, where they're like, it's internal bleeding. We are not going to, it's too late. Like internal bleeding implies that there's like a process happening. You go in and you stop the bleeding. Is she internally bleeding everywhere? I mean, she's been alive for like 2 days.
Yeah.
So there must be something. Like if we'd gone to her earlier, it's like, still sounds like you could do something. I don't know. Somebody slowly bleeding out in a hospital just sounds very strange to me. That's also what it was.
Not just somebody, the first lady. Like,
it's the first lady.
Theoretically, this person has access to and maybe the best hospitals in the country got annihilated by aliens. But still, like, you would assume that they have access to like top-notch medical care. It is a weird down note in what is otherwise like just an across the board triumphant finale And the only thing I can think of is the doctor told the president, like, hey, look, we would have loved to help, but this is the 90s and we got word that she's friends with a stripper. So our hands are tied. The medical board would shut down the hospital if they found out.
It does kind of clear the freeway, though, for him to end up with Constance. You know, it's like his wife's out of the way. Now maybe he can see if there's actually something here with Jeff Goldblum's old flame.
But Jeff Goldblum swoops back in.
He does, but maybe that's undeserved. It's the president, you know? Bill Pullman just saved it. I guess Jeff Goldblum saved the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bill Pullman doesn't get the girl, but he does get Mae Whitman, who I just realized right before we started recording is the daughter in this, which is crazy.
Yeah. Famously cut out of, I guess not even cut out, not asked back for Independence Day 2. When they did Independence Day Resurgence in like 2014, they just didn't bring her back for it.
Wow.
Recast her with somebody nobody's ever heard of. And, you know, not clear why they did that, but she dodged a bullet in the end because that was a very bad movie. And I don't recommend people watch that.
Yeah. I declare my independence from that movie.
And I celebrate that. That's what I'm celebrating today.
I do. I know we have a lot of listeners that are not in New York. And I just feel like as a disclaimer, we should let them know that the New York where you can play chess with your dad, looking at the city on the river, and then bike into work, roll in with zero sweat, get to your desk, does not exist. There is no world. This New York, I don't know if it ever existed. It does not exist anymore. And I just don't want all those like chess advocates or like huge chess fans to think some scenic morning chess is going to be worked into their New York lifestyle. I you know, do you disagree? What do you think? How accurate is the portrayal of New York life in this?
No, there's no fucking way. This takes place in like a rom-com where it's that kind of like, you know how when you were a kid, days felt like they took forever. Like one day was like, oh my God, so long. It's like if a day now was like 72 hours long and the sun came up and then you had so much time to fill and you still just had to work for like 8 hours of it. So like Jeff Goldblum just has a whole fucking day with his dad. He goes about this stuff. He does it all. Apparently it's still, you know, 7:30 a.m. by the time he's done. He's got time to bike across ostensibly. I'm assuming he starts off in maybe like Hunters Point, you know, he's like Long Island City, bikes across the 59th Street Bridge, goes into work. Like, just bizarre. It's July. We know that it's July 2nd when this movie starts. I mean, I know global warming's bad. Maybe it's worse than I thought because there's not a drop of sweat on this man.
Yeah, he's a sweaty mess. It's humid. It's gross. This is just a crazy. So then I guess Judd Hirsch lives in an apartment.
Yeah.
Within walking distance of this chess place.
Yeah, theoretically.
Yeah.
Maybe he biked there from his apartment in Flushing. Like, I don't know. There's no rules here.
Andy has a car. Yeah, this is just a weird.
Yeah, he does have a car. I edited a podcast that we recorded in April last night, and we were already complaining about how hot our rooms were when we were recording it.
Oh, I'm in a sauna right now.
Yeah, same.
I'm sweating more than Jeff Goldblum does in this entire movie.
It's bad. It's wild, dude. I would love to live in this version of New York. Do you think so? Speaking of this too, so for like the range that they show, I mean, both of us are fully fucking dead if this attack happens, right? Like,
oh yeah, we're
it's
dead.
It's a Tuesday. Sure. I don't make it out. I'm not far enough away.
Actually, I don't know. I might be far enough out. I'm like
you might be
way out in Brooklyn. I might survive. I mean, how big of a circle does that go? I mean, like New York City is gone, but where does it land? The Empire State Building? And no, the stripper is in California.
Yeah.
Who's in New York? Is there anyone that we know
Harvey
of?
Harvey Fierstein, right? Just Harvey Fierstein in his car going like, oh, I should have called my lawyer.
But Vivica A. Fox has a stripper friend who wants to wave a sign at the aliens. So she goes to the top of a building. Is
LA.
that building in New York, in LA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's in downtown
there was
LA.
a moment where I'm like, okay, so everyone's just allowed to the top of the Empire State Building to just wave at these aliens. That seems crazy. So who's in New York? Is anyone we know in New York?
Yeah, I think just Harvey Fierstein, the guy that
Jeff
works with Jeff
Goldblum
Goldblum.
Yes.
Because Jeff
Okay.
Goldblum and Judd Hirsch left to go to DC.
Yeah. Harvey Fierstein is dead.
Yeah.
But it looked like it just went the streets. I don't know. I think I'm okay. Adam Bushwick, I think I'm fine.
Yeah, I think you're probably fine.
You're probably
I think
okay.
I'm probably. You think I'm fine? All
You
right.
get in the car and just start speeding away from it at 15 miles an hour, stopping at all the stop signs.
You still got it. We live in a society.
Yeah. Traffic's crazy. Even during an alien invasion, the fact that they're making it to DC in such good time, unheard of as well.
It's wild. The most realistic part of this movie, I think, is when there's the part of the emergency broadcast that's like, if you decide to leave the city, we urge you to remain calm and do it orderly. And it cuts to just abject chaos, just absolute pandemonium.
Oh, yeah. If someone tells you, like, just calmly exit, are you doing it calmly?
I
Like,
am like the one. I'm one of the people that actually would, is the thing.
And you get run over. A person
Yes.
like me would step over you
Yeah.
to get wherever we're trying to go.
I would say like I'm definitely in that group of people who recognize that following the rules is better and would probably get most of us out of here safely. And therefore that's what I'm going to do. But functionally in this situation, all I'm doing is getting killed and creating a barricade that's probably getting you killed too.
All you are is providing a temporary obstacle.
Yeah.
Other people moving. I mean, I get that you're right. You know, it's like the rules are in place for a reason, but you know, there's lots of people who don't think the rules apply to them. And if there's enough of those people, then we got to throw all the rules at the window. You know, you got to be ready to toss the rule book out.
Like, what are we doing here? You know,
I wanted to know from you how long it would take for you to realize we were being invaded by aliens. So you wake up in the morning. When do the aliens show up? The aliens show up. Let's say the aliens show up at 9:30 a.m. You wake up. You've gone through your morning routine. Now you're at work. You know, are you getting? How would you even find
I'm not
out?
at work. I'm not at work, Tim. There's no way. Realistically, now we actually do have a car. Now, realistically, we're going straight to Ohio. You know,
but not your plan. But how long does it take you to realize you're getting invaded? Aliens land at 9:30. Are you getting it from Instagram, or is somebody texting you? Somebody giving you a call? Are you just in a work bubble? Does anyone at work bring it up? They're probably going to want you to stay.
They're definitely going to want you to stay. I'm probably getting multiple, like my manager's probably bringing it up. My mom has probably called me a bunch of times. You know, I'm seeing it on Instagram for sure. And thinking realistically about if there were a giant flying saucer hovering somewhere over the planet and we were all getting news footage of it. My first thought's probably Independence Day. My second thought is probably the movie Arrival, which kind of similar setup, but like they're ultimately harmless. And then my third thought is probably this Netflix documentary that I watched one time that was like, it turned out it presented itself very convincingly at first and then became very clear that it was just trying to suck you into this like tide pool of crackpot conspiracy theories, like half-baked things. But it started off, again, it was fucking dangerous because when it started off, it wasn't immediately clear to me that that's what it was. It took probably 25 minutes into the quote unquote documentary for me to be like, oh, this is some of that shit. And then I watched the rest of it because it was a blast. But one of the things in that, they were trying to show evidence in that, again, conspiracy theory thing of all these like patents that the United States and like other main like big corporations had bought out and shelved over the years that would have been ostensibly like breakthroughs in energy technologies. So like they were trying to convince you that there's like alternatives to gas and oil and like fusion and alternative propulsion methods and cloaking technology and all these other things.
Oh, that's true though.
They were laying, and like partially true, but I think probably to the extent that it's there, I think probably was just shelved because Shell realized that it was going to impact their ability to make money from their oil pipelines that we had.
That's what all
so
those
like,
things are.
it's always more boring than these people want it to be. But they
Still
were
bad.
trying to lay all these pieces into place. That was real bad. They were trying to lay all these pieces into place so that their final argument was that the United States government was going to launch a false flag attack by faking an alien invasion using all of these different technologies in conjunction with one another. Because if you used all of them at once, it would look like an inhuman piece of technology. And the makers of this documentary were trying to say, like, basically like the plot of Watchmen. They're like, they're going to wait until they need to do this politically. And then they're going to use this to rally everybody together. And that probably, to be fair, would be my third thought is like, is this that? And then I would immediately be like, no, there's still fucking crackpots. This is aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, I'm running for sure. I'm just, nope. Just gonna use a sick day and just book it out of here. Try to get to the mainland as quick as possible. Yeah, that's a bummer. Do you think, another government question, how many people do you think are out there that can do things that the government has never even thought of before? Because Jeff Goldblum is just walking in off the street and he's able to like find his like ex-wife's cell phone immediately, and she's like, how does he do that? And it's like, but you're like high up in this, like surely you know that the technology to find someone based on their phone it's got to exist, right? Or did Jeff Goldblum invent it in this universe, or all that kind of stuff? It just had me thinking, like, how many people are out there that just like, you know, there's a natural disaster, and then some rando from, you know, Maine just like bikes to the White House and is like, hey, I got to speak with the president. I've thought of a way to fix everything, you know, and it's actually real. Like, this is like our hitman conversation. Like,
sure.
Do you think these people actually exist? These geniuses that could, you know, get into the White House and fix stuff?
Tim, I'm so glad you asked. This is my conspiracy theory. I not only think they exist, I think they work for the government. I want to believe, my thing that I want, my security blanket of conspiracy that I want to believe, is that these people who are exceptionally intelligent at these things just get hired by the government. Have you ever heard of phone phreaking?
No.
So when you make a call with a payphone, when like you used to have payphones that you can make calls with, there was a series of tones that would get conveyed once you like put the money in, and or there were like a series of like tones, kind of like a dial tone, that would be able to route your call through or like indicate that the payment had been made. There were people who figured out what those tones were in a world before the internet and before YouTube. They figured out what those tones were and were able to actually reproduce those with their mouths so that they would never have to pay for a payphone. They could just make a series of these whistles in the right tones. So like, this is a real thing that people used to do. I listened to a Radio Lab about it years ago, or a Freakonomics or something. So like, those people were, you know, kind of like found, like the government went through and the phone companies went through and were able to find some of these people and charge them with things. I want to believe that they would then just be like, you know what, you're working for us now. Like, you clearly have a wild brain. Like, you're exactly the kind of person we need to be a white hat defending us against other weirdo black hats like you.
I read an article years ago now about how many about hackers and how our government doesn't have enough hackers because they drug test. So
that's awesome.
So all of like the best hackers are stoners and they just want to chill at home and smoke pot and code. And then the FBI is like, sorry, we can't hire you. And they're like, that's cool. I'll just make a bunch of money being a hacker, you know, like,
yeah,
like I don't need you, you know?
Dude,
I don't know. I think about that all the time of like, I just feel like we're blowing it, you know? Like, was there that thing where like Colin Powell like introduced computers to the White House or something like that? Or like hear about like Hillary Clinton using a Bluetooth because it's the only phone she knows how to use, and like all this stuff. I mean, we've never even seen Biden text, but
I don't think it happens.
I want to see the text message. No. He tries voice to text, does not work. Yeah.
Hey Siri. Yeah, send a message to Jill. Dr. Jill. LOL, Jack. Again, this is the best I have. I'm letting everyone down.
I did want to get in my 2 favorite lines from the movie too.
Please.
John Lennon, smart man, shot in the back. Very sad. Like maybe the best
Incredible line.
ever
Incredible.
written. The delivery is so good. And the way they just stare at him when he says it is so good. My second favorite line is they took out NORAD, the vice president, the Joint Chiefs. Because I heard that and I was like, oh no, not the Joint Chiefs. Oh shit. No, take anyone but the Joint Chiefs. What are we gonna do? I couldn't name you a Joint Chief. I don't know who these people are. I can tell you they're they're not useful. I can tell you that with complete confidence. The idea of being like, oh no, not the vice president. Oh God. Not the Joint Chiefs. Like I'm still going to work that day. You know,
they've taken out the Secretary of Agriculture. Oh no!
Oh God! Also, we still need you in the office at 9.
Yeah. So finish that chess game with your dad and bike on in.
Get over here. Yeah, you can't get a day off work because the Joint Chiefs were taken out. You know,
See, I heard that. I thought that was just the colloquialism for the president's boys. Like, yeah, I got my bros, the Joint Chiefs, hanging out.
We got to make that movie, The Joint Chiefs, and it's just a bunch of bros hanging out with the president.
Oh, it's Entourage plus Olympus Has Fallen.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Wow.
Just hires all of his friends to do stuff, and they're like pretty good at it.
God damn it. Another $1 million idea just sitting there.
We just give them out on the pod for sure.
And
Kevin, you got any big beefs or thieves you want to get in?
I got a thief. This is exactly the cast I want in this movie. This is like, if you're going to do one of these where everybody's taking themselves too seriously and we're playing with these big, massive tropes, and this is the tone, this is exactly who you get in this movie, with one glaring exception named Harry Connick Jr. Harry Connick Jr. is
Jimmy?
the weirdest fucking guy. I got no love for Captain Jimmy. You could swap in so many people that would be more fun in that role. Off the top of my head, just for the Fresh Prince connection, I'm thinking we immediately care more if that's DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Of course we do. But you could say that about anything.
You could. I mean, it's like I know they wouldn't want to do it, but like it'd be very fun. I was just thinking about how much fun it would be if that was Martin Lawrence. I just watched all the Bad Boys movies again. I was thinking about how much fun it'd be if they just ran it back and that was Martin Lawrence in that role. Like pretty much like put in anybody who isn't Harry Connick Jr. and that's more fun.
Yeah, is his character supposed to be like Iceman or something, like a weird antagonist? I don't know what his deal is. He's just kind of like a crabby guy who cares a lot about his job, but he's just not fun.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't want to get stuck talking to him at a company party.
No, it's like, this is like, I think he's supposed to be Will Smith's best friend. Like, it seems like they're supposed to have a ton of history. And so it's like, yeah,
it's the same
just
guy.
Weird. The pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Wait, is that the guy who shoots the Coke can?
No, different guy. That's Adam Baldwin.
Okay, that's
from,
who I'm thinking of. Who is that? Adam something?
Adam Baldwin from the space western. I forget the name. Serenity.
Yeah,
but I think
that guy doesn't seem fun.
I think he turned out to be a real dick in real life too. So maybe hard to imitate.
Not a fan of him.
Way.
Harry Connick Jr. I'm all in on. That's fun. I like their little banter. I like that Will Smith has a friend. I like that scene where they're like caught proposing to each other in the locker room, and somebody's just like, "Okay," and walks away. I miss those. Why don't we see that in TV or movies anymore, where you catch someone in a compromising position, and instead of joking about it, you just go up and turn around and leave the room.
There's another one of those that's really fun where Will Smith is stealing the plane, and then the guy comes up and he's like, "I have to shoot you," and he's like, "Come on," and the guy lowers the gun.
That's it.
It's like, "Say I punched you," and then the guy hits him in that face of like, "Come on."
I feel like I was thinking about that too. Like that guy has to answer for the president, and they're just like, "Why did you let this guy steal a jet?" And I feel like as a security guy, you'd just be like, "Look around at the world. Nothing makes sense anymore." He said, he was like, "Come on," and I was like, "You know what? Everyone I know and love got blown up today. Take the jet." Who cares? If this war will not be won or lost based on one jet being gone. Okay.
Plus, we're like at that point, we're like 2 hours out from like just them calling everyone who's ever looked at a plane into the sky.
Yeah. Dude, Drunk Dad's arc in this, where he kills himself. Incredible. You know, so many jokes about aliens abducting him and touching him. Do you think he was actually abducted by these aliens?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think it's way funnier if he isn't and wasn't abducted by aliens at all. But I do think
that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like maybe he's just not. And this just happened.
Yeah.
You know? He just made a claim. And then it's like claiming you saw Bigfoot today, and then a year from now they actually catch a Bigfoot, and you're just like, see? When I said I saw that Bigfoot outside the Waffle House, I wasn't lying.
100%. This guy, I was also like, I wanted to pitch you a joke opportunity that they missed, where there's the diner scene where the two guys are like, "Hey, when they took you up in that spaceship, did they do anything sexually?" I want to pitch a slight change to that. Again, considering that this is the 90s and these guys are like stereotypical 90s hicks. I would like to pitch that they instead say, "Hey, when they take you up in that spaceship, did they do any kind of an anal probe?" And then they all go outside and they see the spaceship, and the same guys turn to him with real fear in their eyes. And then they say, "Did they do any kind of an anal probe?"
I like that. That's a good slapsticky, you know.
I want to write one of these, dude. I watched Armageddon
them
last
just
summer.
Covering their butts.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
there you go.
Tightening their belts. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
What a fun time. Happy 4th of July, man. You too.
Happy 4th of July. Hope everyone has a good 4th of July and a happy Independence Day.
Yeah.
GG. Yeah, it's time to take off this jacket. Climb off the top of this truck.
Let's get
I feel
in
like
the air.
speech is mid. The speech is mid.
Yeah, speech could have been better. Speech could have been better.
Anyway.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.